Anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first MIDSHORE Tractor Pullers live show. Excuse me, live talking show.
There you go.
Oh, anyway, we'll be doing a new intro soon, Richard. So calm down. But anyway,
Not soon enough, but
we got
anyway.
a myriad of guests on here tonight. Of course, we've had Crowe here before. I believe this might be Jordan Ferris's first time here.
Yep.
Greg Remley, who is hiding behind the camera, and
We
the
have
world
Mike.
famous Mike Hitchens is also with us. So, and Olan and Richard McIntyre Jr. is here as well. Anyway, we've been having a ball here. Now that we got everybody straightened out and understand how they need to log on here. But anyway, lots of good stuff to talk about. Upcoming pulls. Got some file photos here to share and everything. Olan, Richard, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
You're first.
All right. I want to thank all of our guests and gentlemen on the show with us tonight. World's greatest tractor puller, Richard McIntyre, is here to keep things straight in the house. But we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We got pulls coming up to talk about. We got a whole series of pulls coming up with Greg Remley, Jordan Ferris, and Mike Hitchens to talk about. And we have Paul Crowe. We have had frosty mornings around here, and I decided the best thing to do is talk about frost on the intake manifold. So we have Paul here to open the show up with talking to us about frost. Frost. Huh? All right, Paul, lead us off why we have frost on the intake manifolds.
All right. You want to show that picture or no?
Sure.
There we go. Show and
All
tell.
right. Now, I know some of the people watching this live down south. They probably never saw this before. But for those of us who live in the frozen north, it's not uncommon in the wintertime, especially if it's damp outside, to have your propane tank have frost on the bottom, or the whole thing would be frosted, or just a little bit. Essentially, you can tell how much propane, liquid propane, is in that tank simply by looking where the frost line is. Everybody understand that? That makes sense?
Yep.
All right. Even if you have a small little thread on propane, or if you have a tractor that has propane, essentially what you're looking at there, and what I want to discuss, is that on the bottom where it's frosted is liquid. Above the frost line, it's a vapor. So it's been converted into a gas on top. It's liquid on the bottom. So we've all seen, especially on Facebook pages, where people say that, hey, my carburetor or my intake manifold is real frosty, usually around the carburetor. And what do you think of that? Is that good, bad, or otherwise? And the number one answer is that's awesome, because that means that you're moving air. Anyone ever hear that before? I see it all the time. Okay, so if air moving through your intake manifold is causing your carburetor to ice up, then why is that propane tank frozen on the bottom? And the reason is it has nothing to do with airflow. And I know I'm going to catch flack for this, but it really isn't. So there you go. So you see on that picture where the top of the carburetor and the entrance to the manifold is frosted. Now, sometimes, and if you can, just switch to the other picture. Everybody's probably seen this at some point in time. And then I took a picture of my Alice Chalmers with one of my headers on it, and mine doesn't frost, but it does get wet. It has to be really cold outside in order for it to frost. So what Olan and these guys had asked me to explain is, why does it do that? And my answer is, so right there you can see that above the carburetor, but only halfway up the tube, mine gets very wet. So first of all, I want to explain this wouldn't necessarily happen if I lived in Arizona, but we don't. We live in northern Wisconsin. There's a lot of moisture up here. So as the intake gets cold right there, the water vapor that's around the engine hits that cold intake and condenses. Mine is wet. The ones that are frosty means that you've really, really dropped the temperature of the carburetor and the manifold. So what I want to explain first are just three basic things. There's three things that you need to do to burn gasoline. Gasoline needs to be in a vapor. It can't be in a liquid. So it doesn't matter whether it's propane, ethanol, methanol, a blend, gasoline. You store it as a liquid. You burn it as a vapor. So when you have three basic processes to do this. You have emulsification, atomization, and vaporization, and they're really easy. Most people know that in the carburetor, the little brass tube with the holes in it that's used for mixing the gasoline in your bowl with the outside air is called the emulsion tube, and that's because it emulsifies. Just liquid gasoline mixes it with air. It's discharged into the carburetor where it goes through your intake manifold. That's where atomization takes place for the most part. Atomization is just simply taking a big molecule and busting it into the liquids. And that requires energy. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get it in such a small group of molecules that when it's in the engine, it can vaporize and burn. It's that simple. It's complicated to get it to work correctly, but the concept is simple. Take a really big, pure gasoline molecule, mix it with air, throw it into the intake manifold, and hopefully by the time it gets to the engine, it's busted up into smaller pieces. Kind of think of it as a popcorn ball if you want to. You've got to bust it apart. It takes a little bit of effort to do it. But in the end, you want it to be all individual kernels of popcorn. So the reason why it ices up, or in that case, where it's where there's liquid on the outside, is that breaking apart a large gasoline molecule into a small one requires energy, outside energy. It's an endothermic reaction. It means you got to put energy into it to break the bonds. It's stealing the energy from the intake manifold on the carburetor. And the reason why the top of the carburetor, where it meets the manifold, is what freezes is because when you introduce gasoline into the carburetor, it happens at the top. Or if it's a side draft John Deere, it happens at the back. But it's not going to ice at the beginning, at the front of the carburetor. And for people, and again, it has nothing to do with airflow. What you see there is that the rate of atomization at that particular point has exceeded the available energy. It takes energy, which means that the intake manifold is going to get cold. So is a carburetor. Anybody who's run a forklift knows, go ahead and grab the regulator on a forklift, on a propane forklift. It's freezing cold. And that's because, again, you're taking a liquid and you're busting it up into a gas. And when that happens, and there's a violent, physical reaction right there. So if you're in an area where there's enough moisture on the outside, that moisture in the air, which you can't see, is just going to hit that cold intake and it's going to turn to water. Or if it's cold enough, it's going to turn to ice. So it's going to go from a vapor to a liquid to a solid based on how much heat you have. Now in a car, for those of us who are old enough to have driven cars with carburetors, which is me most of my life, and we still have them, is that they have a heat riser. It takes exhaust manifold heat and it runs it up to the carburetor, and it mixes that hot air with cold air, and they have a blend door. So again, as your car is warming up when it's 30 below, then as the engine gets warm, the blend door starts to close. It's trying to regulate the temperature to keep your carburetor from turning into a block of ice. If that happens, your car shuts off and it won't restart. So this argument of air flowing and that's a good thing, and carb icing is a glorious thing that happened to you. BS. None of that has anything to do with anything, because yeah, there is airflow there, but you have really, really high rate of atomization there. When I'm building headers now, what I've been doing, I'm not trying to promote my own stuff, but the tube from the carburetor to the top where it splits, I'm experimenting with widening it. I want the air to not flow quite so fast right after the carburetor and slowly accelerate as it goes up the tube. The reason I want to do that is I want to push more of the atomization up towards the top of the intake where it's got heat from the exhaust. So for those of you who want or are told to separate your intake from your exhaust. That's not a wise thing to do, especially on an updraft, because the carburetor doesn't naturally get heat. So all I'm just showing, again, is that it happens on propane heaters. It happens on all kinds of accessories here in the cold. And anyone that lives up where we do knows they even make heaters for propane tanks to keep them from freezing. So it's a real thing. It happens. Can you prevent it on a totally stock system? You could build a heat shield around it, which some farmers do. They put a blanket over the top and they try to direct more of the exhaust heat into the intake. If you're building a header, you want to build as much heat in that area right there as possible to try to keep that from happening. But if you were in a really dry environment like Arizona desert, you'd still have the same problem occurring. You wouldn't see anything because there's no moisture in the air. It's a real dry environment. So people that are out west, our motorcycle friends, say, well, I don't know why you have this frosting. We don't have that. Well, they have the same problem, but there's no moisture in the air, so they don't see it. It's like you could be sick and you don't have any symptoms, right? You don't have a runny nose, you don't have a cough, you don't have bloodshot eyes. You feel miserable, you're still sick. But I could look at you and say, well, you look fine to me. That doesn't mean you're not sick. It just means I can't see any symptoms. And this is a symptom. So anyway, I don't want to get too nerdy. That's basically it. It is the breaking apart of a large gasoline molecule into smaller ones. And in order to do that, it's stealing heat from whatever happens to be around it. And that's why it happens right after the carburetor, because that's where most of the atomization occurs. And that's where the least amount of heat is. That part of the intake manifold is the coldest part of the. That's
All
it. Make sense?
Paul, that makes sense. Paul, that was a very nice explanation of how the frost gets there. Maybe on another show, we'll talk about how to get rid of it. So it doesn't occur. And I think that has to do with the area below the frost is how you get rid of the frost, correct?
You can do
Carburization molecules and
yeah, you've got to either slow down the rate of atomization, or like in a propane thing, they would change parts, or you've got to add heat. And adding heat is the easiest way to do it. Leave the carburetor alone, get that part of your intake manifold hotter. And I know on the internet, they're all going to tell you that I'm crazy and that's the opposite of what you want to do, but it's not true. I was a science major in college. I know a little bit about this stuff. A little.
But the thing is, you don't want the frosting because it's making your molecules bigger and your motor is not going to perform at its maximum.
Well, what happens is if you have enough moisture in the air, like we do, again, in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, we're all against the Great Lakes. We've got a lot of moisture, and we have a lot of cold air, is that if you have a moist, cold day, what happens is that the moisture that's in your carburetor starts to accumulate and eventually plugs up your jet. So if you've got a tractor carburetor with a load jet, it will partially plug or fully plug it, and your tractor won't run. Or if you have a carburetor like ours, which has 3 individual fuel circuits and 3 individual air circuits, is you start to plug off these small passages, and the tractor is going to change the way it's jetted. It's going to run really rich or really lean, depending on which part of the carburetor has frozen. None of it is good. And again, just because you don't have ice doesn't mean it's not happening. But when you have enough moisture to have ice, the ice will plug the circuits and cause your tractor to run like crap. So yeah, it is a concern. But like I said, people say, oh, that's a good thing. You're moving air. Yeah, you're moving air. But a propane burner does not move air and it still freezes. Air moving has nothing to do with it. So if someone says that to you, stop listening to them and go find another answer, because that's not correct.
I don't know if you can see the questions there. Sorry. Gerald Buchanan is asking, wouldn't engine heaters help this?
Not necessarily an engine heater like a coolant heater or a block heater, unless, and we have done this before, if you could split off your cooling system and wrap tubing around the area that is doing that and then run it back to the tractor, yes, then it would work. They also have electric wraps. for this specific purpose. Or a heat shield would work. Try to get some of your exhaust heat to stay in that area, and then your intake manifold will start to soak up that heat. That's what it needs. It needs heat because it's atomizing fuel. If you don't atomize fuel, whatever goes into the engine and doesn't become a gas doesn't burn, goes right out your exhaust. And that can be proven. There's a million reports on that, and it's not a trade secret. I've done those tests myself. So why put gasoline in an engine when you know it's not going to burn? That's my question to everybody in the whole world. Seems kind of pointless unless we're drag racing. And if we're drag racing, we're just stuffing the engine. You're stuffing literally as much fuel in it as possible. You burn as much as you can, and you go down the track. It only lasts for 10 seconds, but they rebuild their engines constantly because you're washing the rings and the cylinders with that unburned fuel. That is a really expensive way to win a plastic trophy.
Very
So
true.
Greg's question is, what is the proper temperature of air going through the system for the intake?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the ideal intake charge temperature?
That's why, just as one example, when I started to make headers, then people would get upset sometimes because I would lay the intake right against the exhaust, and they say, "Oh my God, you don't want that. You're gonna get it hot." And I said, "Yeah, you are." And if you, not that you would have, but if anyone that follows me on Facebook, I just made a post yesterday, I think it was, about the speed of burn of gasoline, and it's 50 to 150 feet per second at 10,000 RPM. A total burn event, is 1/1000th of a second. Gasoline starts to burn at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's just say the gas in your tank is 80 degrees. You really think that you're going to raise the temperature from 80 degrees to 140 degrees where you start to vaporize that fuel in 1/100th of a second when you've just accelerated from 0 to 300 feet per second? Show me on a calculator how this is going to happen. You can't get the intake too hot. That air is moving through there so fast. If a gasoline molecule touches the wall of the intake, you want it to instantly re-vaporize. You do not want it to condense, because then that liquid gas runs back down and your carburetor is at the bottom, not at the top like a V8 car. So updraft carburetor systems are completely unique because gravity is very much not our friend. If we're racing V8 tractors, totally different conversation. But updraft carburetors, you have to be extremely careful that you do not let the gasoline condense in the intake. It'll never reach the engine. So there's more. I mean, we could talk about that for an hour, but I won't. But I just want everybody to understand that ice area, that wet area, is an indication that you don't have enough heat in your intake system, and it could cause running problems if you don't address the issue. And if your friends tell you that that's a good thing and that you should really cheer because you have ice on your carburetor, then they don't understand how gasoline burns, because it can't burn if it's a liquid.
Paul, is there a minimum temperature you need?
Or like 80-degree day is the ideal for average carburetors to work, or is like 90-degree days, or warmer the better, or 50-degree days? Something. Is there a generalized rule of thumb there we should kind of like be thinking?
I have some information that I won't share that shows the temperature. Essentially, I'll dumb it down to this. Anytime that you can build more heat in the intake, you can't get it too hot. I mean, if it's glowing red, that's probably too hot. But you want the intake to be anything shy of having vapor lock in your carburetor, which means anyone that ever ran a Honda Trail 70 or one of those horizontal little mini bikes, the carburetor was above the engine, and heat, of course, rises. So you'd be bebopping around in low gear in your Trail 70, and then all of a sudden it would start to run like crap, and then it would shut off and it wouldn't restart. But when it got cold, it'd fire right up and run like a brand new machine. And that's because you sent so much heat to the carburetor. Gasoline turned to vapor before it got to the engine, and then the carburetor didn't function correctly. It's not designed to flow a vapor, it's designed to flow a liquid. So vapor lock is getting too far. your carburetor or the bowl, people in drag racing world will talk about the gasoline boiling in the bowl. You have an aluminum carburetor on an aluminum intake sitting above two aluminum cylinder heads, covered up with a hood. You can go too far, but again, on a pulling tractor, I have never seen ever a carburetor that got even warm to the touch. So I would say you can't make it too warm. But Olan, to your point, if you don't see any moisture or freezing, but if you hold your hand on your carburetor and it's cold, the problem is there. You just don't see any ice because it's a dry day. That's all. Middle of August for you guys when you're, I'm complaining because it's 85 and you're saying, hey, it's 105 here. On those days, it can, if it's dry enough, you will not have any symptoms whatsoever. But when you get on a cooler day, especially if it's moist out, it's a foggy day or it's high moisture, then that's when you most likely would see the actual ice there. Doesn't mean the problem wasn't there before. Just the ice confirms that you may have a problem. Does that make sense?
It starts to.
The ice is just a symptom. It's not the problem. It's just the visual. It's like having a runny nose. It's not the runny nose that's going to kill you. It's just your nose is running because you have a cold. If that makes sense.
John Buchanan says, I have been a propane mechanic for years, and I will guarantee hot water in the propane converter stops freezing.
Well, and if you didn't run the cooling system of the tractor when it was up to operating temperature through a propane system, I'm going to guess it wouldn't work because I personally am not a propane mechanic, but I've worked on many propane vehicles, and they're all liquid. Well, you could say liquid cooled. They're all liquid heated. Is that correct? And what you're trying to do is, on a propane system, you're trying to convert it from a liquid to a vapor before it gets to the mixer. And the mixer, I would call a carburetor, but it's not. It's got a diaphragm in it, and we've changed diaphragms and things. So on a propane, you're storing it as a liquid, converting it to a gas, pumping the gas through a mixer where you introduce the air, and then you're burning it. On a carburetor, you're introducing air first, then turning it to a vapor and burning it. Same process, slightly different steps. If I hopefully I said that correctly. And propane, you can start propane on liquid too, and you can burn liquid gasoline a little bit, but not very efficiently. You're not going to win any trophies trying to burn liquid gasoline. Won't happen.
All right, Paul.
Yes, sir.
I enjoy your conversation. It's been beneficial, but we're going to move on to our next guest here. We got some big stuff going on, and if we have an outcry for more on understanding atomization and air and how it all works together, would you be willing to come back and talk to us once again?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
And so we'll go with that as closing thought. You want to hang out with us, you're more than welcome to. But right now we got to move on. We only have so much time,
Yep.
and we do got a lot we want to talk about.
Yep. I'm going to log out and walk my dogs. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated.
Thanks for coming on, Paul.
I don't think any of us can ever have too much information on that subject. So thank you.
Okay. Take care, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. Everybody, we have Jordan Ferris, Greg Remley, Mike Hitchens here with us tonight. They got a whole new exciting thing going on. Just before I get into them, I want to remind everybody this weekend is big indoor pulling in Lebanon, Missouri. Next week is Oklahoma got big pull. We got followed by pulls going on in Florida right now, outside in the heat, compared to here. We have Oak Grove coming up. We have have Chatham coming up 1st of March. We have Harrisburg coming in after that, and we have White Pine coming in. We got guests coming from them. Canandaigua done put their flyer up for what they got coming up later on in the summer. We got lots of good guests coming. But now we're going to jump on back to what the new exciting news is getting ready to happen north above Harrisburg. I'll put it that way. This group has put together an awesome thing where there's a lot of cooperation going on. My hat's off to them. They've done a fine job. They want to talk about it. Who's going to go first, Mike, you or Greg? Greg, hello, Greg. Turn it loose.
Yeah, so we put together a 6 pool points thing we're going to be doing. Starts in April. What we want to do is it's going to be $100 buy-in fee. We're going to have 6 pools. You got to make 5 of them, and you can drop the one pool. So these pools that we're going to will be trout run. You know, they're offering an 80% payback at their pool. And just to let you know, all these this is 100% payback. So that $100 for the entry fee to join this this thing is gonna be completely paid back, everything.
That point series, yeah.
So, but trout run, they have an 80% payback. It's $25 a hook. They keep 5 for the club and then pay back 20. Forksville, we all know they need a little bit of help on their payback, but that's one reason we go up there is that was one of Don's favorite places to pull. Center Hall, they're offering a 50% payback at the day of the pull. One Tour de Long, that's another, I think that's 75% payback. Clinton County, I'm not sure what they do for sure, but they usually get a lot of tractors there and pretty decent payback in the years before. And then Middle Creek, that would be a rain date. If one of those pools would cancel, we would end up going to Middle Creek before we hit Burr Hill, which would be the championship pool then. But it's pretty interesting.
Greg?
Say that again.
Thanks, Jordan.
Jordan, what's the payback on the Burr Hill? Is that 75 or 80?
That's 80%. It's $25 a hook, and then 20 of that gets paid back to the class.
That's first, second, and third, or is it going to go further?
Yeah, first, second, third. It's 60% for first, 30% for second, 10% for third.
And that's going to be our same payback on the points too, right? On the percentage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're going to have some contingency spots too. So it's going to depend on how many tractors we get signed up for this. But we would like to have people signed up before April 1st. That's going to be the deadline. So that way that gives us time to get the tractor count and figure out how we're doing the contingencies and the paybacks.
All right, let's go back to talking about some of these locations. All right, so it is. What's that? Oh, Richard said, hold on. Richard wants to do rules first.
All right. Well, the rules is going to be pretty simple. It's club rules. You know, it's all going to be 18-inch back draw bars, 20-inch high. The weight allowance is whatever the club is going to be where we're at the club. What else was it?
50 to 100, I think, right?
And driveway speed too. How the club does it.
Yeah, most of them's 100, but it's whatever the club rules is. But if there's any, that is one thing. You got to run across the scales, of course, before the pull, and then we're going to be pulling people around afterwards. If you take the lead, probably in that class, you're probably going to get reweighed or rescaled and drawbar checked. And if you're illegal, you're done with the points for the rest of the year. You just donated that $100. There's going to be no allowing that at all. So it'd be pretty safe to say I'd be a couple pounds light and an 1/8 inch low on your drawbar.
You see the questions, Greg?
Yeah, so the tractor's going to get the points.
Yeah, try.
So if you can't make it, Nate, and you send your tractor down with somebody else, the tractor's getting the points. The points all go to the tractor. It don't matter who's running it. We did that for family members that might have issues with kids in sports or vacation, or we want the points to go to the tractor.
No, whatever. Yeah. I guess the question, can we bring this tractor this time and another tractor next time? No, whatever tractor you sign up, that's the tractor you use for the points.
But
That's correct.
Yeah.
but the 3 tire sizes, you can change them throughout the pool.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Make
tires,
sure they know the sizes
Yeah.
and understand that statement.
Well, that would be small tire, which is 15.5/38, 15.9/34, and basically anything.
14.9.
14.9/38 will work. Yeah, but your 2 biggest, that would be, I guess, 15.5/38 and 16.9/34.
But you could, same tractor could change any of them 3 tires throughout the poles. That's okay.
Yep, it's the same tractor. Yep. Yeah, whatever you start the year out with, that's the one you have to use if, to finish out. But if you can't be to a pole, you can have someone else drive your tractor at that pole, and that tractor will get the points.
Is there attending points compared to just winning points, or?
There'll be, help me out with this one, Jordan might have, we're doing show up points. So.
Yeah, so the lowest points you can get for the day is going to be 5. We're going to cap like the low points at 5s. And then, so my example there on the page that's up right now, if we have 30 entries in this, we're going to start the points at 20 points. So first place gets 20, second place gets 19, third place gets 18, all the way down until we get to the halfway mark at 15. 15 entries. So then that brings us down to 5 points. And then any placings after 15th place, all just get 5 points. That way, hope in thoughts, like the thoughts of that is to keep it like a tighter points race. That way, if you have like 2 lower finishes, you're not going to be so far away from being at the top. You know what I mean?
Well, makes sense. Any questions?
Points pretty self.
All right, so let's have a little discussion. Everybody, it's 3.5 mile an hour. Is every place like a horn, every place a speed warning sign, or we do what that individual group at that location does? Let's talk a little bit about that.
So we're trying, as of now, everywhere that we had picked, but Forksville is a 100-foot cone. Anything after that, it's done. I gotta get a hold of Forksville yet, and Donnie Hilker, and try to get him to do that up at Forksville.
Yeah, Richard's never been the same since he went to Beaver Springs and did the rope guy.
But we
He's
want
never
to
been
stay
the
away
same.
from that too.
He's been changed man ever since then.
But as of now, like I said, everything is 100-foot mark. And I mean, you get disqualified, you're not done with your points. The only
Not
time
for that. Yeah.
not for that, you're gonna you're gonna get 5 points, but you're not. That's not for the season.
Are they all running signboards, or some of them like with the horn stuff?
Some of them do. A couple of them do run speed boards. I'm not sure if we're going to have it at Terry's Pool or not this year. Washingtonville, I think they're going to try to get theirs back up and running. So, other than that, that's all we got for speed boards up here.
It's what it is. It's tractor point. The excitement is to try to gain points going multiple locations, multiple tracks, multiple conditions. And there's a lot of things in it. You'll never be able to predict who the winner's going to be from day one. Because the obstacles are and the chances and the locations are so different. Registration at the polls is how they do that particular poll, or
Whatever the club is doing, that's how you'll sign up with under their
now there's only one class in this whole thing, one weight, and
yes, right now we're just doing 5,500. We're going to see how this plays out for the year. If things work out, and we have a lot of people interested, certainly we'll look into bigger and better things for another year.
all right. Now it's not just going to the poll to do one hook either.
No.
And there is what going on with these other polls.
Well, go ahead. All these polls are quite a bit of tractors, and
All's good paybacks.
and they're all good payback polls. That's why we pick these polls. But a lot of them they go up in 500-pound increments. Other than Forksville, right? Forksville is still 45.
They're 1,000.
They're 1,000-pound increments.
Yeah.
But there is other. That's the only pool that don't have other classes. And there's also pools where they're running big tire. They're running that small tire in the morning. The 5 classes, and then they run big tire in the evening, 5 classes.
So a lot of times what you're saying, Greg, is a tractor that can do small tire and big tire both can get like 5 hooks in the morning if they can make weight, change their tires and pull 5 more hooks in the afternoon. They're going to do 10 hooks before they get home.
They could, yes.
And a chance to be in money classes the whole day.
Yep.
That's a lot of good pulling right there.
There's
At
4
3.5
of
miles
those.
an hour.
Well, that would be the big tires. Usually be 6 though.
6.
Once you
Yeah,
get
but still they get
yes.
10 hooks with all chance. Generally, most time being in money class for 10 hooks in a day.
Right.
One tractor.
Yep.
That's a lot of hooking.
Or they can bring
A second tractor.
Bring a big tire, or with one small with the other.
But 4 out of those six clubs that we had picked are that way.
Jordan, during your dates, are there any other special classes running them dates?
So that September 21st poll, our last one in this point series, that's going to be our King of the Hill. We're going to do 45, 5, 55, 6, 65. You can pull 4 classes. 3 get counted for points, and then it goes to like a final 8. The top 8 in points goes to like a championship class for the day.
And that's another big payout class, right?
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that a small tire or big tire?
Yep. That's all small tire, any cut, 3.5 mile an hour.
And on that particular day, how many tractors generally participate in that?
Well, this past year we got rained out. The year before, I believe we had 28 or 29 tractors here.
28.
Yep. 28, yeah. I forget what the winner got that day. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
So most likely, if the weather's good, you'll have probably 28 tractors.
Oh yeah, at least.
And
Yep.
with the points running on, it could easily be a class of over 30.
Yep.
That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to get
Yep.
30 tractors in this point.
So if you're running one of these, like say you're in the 5,000, but you pulled 45, and there's 30 tractors in the point series, most of them will probably be pulling 45. So the local organization could win a 45 at 70% payback, 75. That first place class pays like what?
Just depending on what your entry fee is, $20 or $25. But yeah, it'd be a good payback.
There's a lot of money floating around to go play in a lot of different ways to win. And I don't even know, we hadn't even talked about gamblers fees and pot options and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff floating around. pulling a tractor doing 3.5 miles an hour, weighing less than 6,500 pounds, right?
That's all, yeah. Some of the places they'll have 7,500, I think.
Okay.
Portsville,
Another
I
thing
think they
that
still do that.
if you look at those dates are those pulls are roughly a month apart. That gives plenty of time to plan on making those pulls.
Yeah, I think the closest one we have is 3 weeks interval. So
And then 1 month he took off, right?
yeah, July
Yeah.
is pretty much open. Yeah, at this time for this year.
And much like the Jordan pool, most of these organizations, when you're there, they're having special pools of their own that same day. Track run, I know. Center Hall generally runs special pools the same date, right?
Yeah, that'd be. Let's see, no, I forgot what is there. Right, 4 or 5 classes you can pull with each small tire and big tire at Center Hall, and then that goes they do a points thing there for that, and then if you make, I think it's the top 15, then you go to a mini
Bracket.
poll for a finale type deal.
So, get them tractors tuned in, get them ready to make the road trip. And we might even have Richard here with us. You never know.
Yeah, the guy in the background's not saying anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't heard him the whole show.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm here.
I want to say,
Yeah,
Joe
like
Buchanan,
Nicole.
thank you. He was talking
Hi,
about
Nicole.
the pulling videos. So you guys tell me, you've been watching some of my antique videos. Are they beneficial to you?
His antique videos to other pullers is what he's
I'm not
asking.
looking for recognition. I'm just asking.
I think they've been very beneficial. I've been told other pullers from other locations, watch what we're all doing at air pulls and other pulls, and they take that information back to their home areas and utilize it, and it'd be a different state entirely. That a tractor that we generally don't ever see. Who's sleeping? Richard? He's good. He's daydreaming of coming and pulling a small tire event.
There's the winter. Yeah, I guess that's meaning that Burr Hill
Yeah, that must
Yep.
be King of the
having
Hill
a
for-
$400 payday there for the winter of that.
And then you still had other classes.
You still have your other class. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you actually win. I mean, that was the winner for the points thing, but you're still paying back throughout those other classes. So 45 still ended up with $180 win for winning that one. 5,000 might have won, $180 too. That's correct, right, Jordan?
Yep. Yeah,
So you're still
all the classes are all payback, on top of that King of the Hill deal. So
what he does is he takes I think it was $15 out of that 25 and put towards,
Yeah.
that was the winner, right? Of the
no,
class.
so I wish I had my paperwork in front of me, but I believe so. It's $25 a class. I believe it was $5 from every hook goes towards the King of the Hill, and then the payback for the class was $15 out of each hook. So total, it's still 80% payback. It's just split up differently for the classes,
Mm-hmm.
And I would say not one guy did not win 2 classes up there. There was 5 different winners up there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's some tough pulling.
So the more we can get into this, the bigger it will be. For the points end of it.
And the same thing. I think down at Terry's pool, I think the winner walked out of there with over $800 by the time they won the bracket and the one class or so that they won there. Sealands Grove guy walked out of there with $1,100 for winning that points thing, plus his 2 classes that he won. Second place walked out with $900 in that points deal. So there's there's money to be made at these pools if we can just get the tractors to them.
Now,
Yeah.
Greg, it wasn't always like this, was it? 10 years ago, come on, tell me, 10 years ago, if somebody said small tire was going to have money in it, what would you have done? Laughed at them?
I don't know. Small tire was always big up here, but no, you had some fair pools that paid back up this way, but not like what they're paying back now. No.
But it wasn't the paybacks, and it wasn't some of the other setups that was going on now. So tractor pulling really has gotten better for the small tire tractor.
It's always been a big thing here in PA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where a lot of us learned to pull, and that's where we all stay because of the competition.
And once again, we're explaining what small tire tractor means.
It, like Mike said, 15 538, 16 934s, any cut is what everybody runs up here now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 3.5 miles an hour, 3.7, 3.5. We try to keep them at 3.5.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
And as far as getting signed up for these points, I think if I'm right here, Jordan, we'll have something on the Facebook page right coming up that you'll be able to sign up. That you want to be into it.
Now, also, we're gonna have to take their word on. You sign up for that, you got the first pool and the second pool to pay. We would hope if you're not sure, do not sign up, because that's what we're counting on paying back.
Yeah.
By.
Yeah.
You know, we
but you
want
got to buy the second pool if you didn't show up for the first one.
Yes.
So that's your miss. And then, so the second one has to be, we have to be, pay the registration fee at that point.
All right, Mike, other than yourself, Greg, and Jordan, is there any other people that can be reached out to for information?
Yeah.
Alec Butcher and Blake Colton. You know, we started this thing this past year. A bunch of us got together, 7 of us, and we started doing this little points thing to work out the bugs. And this is how we came up with what we're trying to do for this year coming up.
And where's the best place to go look for information on this at this time?
Jordan?
But PA Points Pulling, I think it's called, for the Facebook page.
PA Traveling Points. That's what the Facebook page name is. You can find us on there. You can message me or, any of us, or give us a call. I got a couple of our phone numbers on there. You can give us a call and, we'll answer any questions that you have.
Will you keep being able to be doing poll updates on who's got the lead and points and stuff? Because I'm sure this guy over the top left corner of the screen would like to have that talked about.
Yep. Yeah. Through the year, like I'll keep the group updated. I'll post the results, and I'll keep keep a points page updated and keep it up to date and keep everybody in the loop. Should be exciting.
Yeah, just to let you know, Jordan will be the president of this.
No, that's Greg. That's Greg.
And it starts.
So we got co-presidents going on.
We still have
boy.
trouble in this department. We got to work this kink out.
I seen Mr. Yount made a comment at the bottom, and I think it's this group's hope that this is not only picked up and grows in their area, is that it can apply, like it can be applied to other areas of the country, and other organizations can synchronize their rules and their dates and times to utilize it as well. Does that sound like?
Kevin Miller said, sounds like a great plan.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
Now's not the time to ask that question. Did that sound right?
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully it's a model that can be copied in many other places around.
Well, and that's what we're hoping to see how this plays out. We're hoping for big things and to make it better in the coming year.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk that, I'm just hoping we can get the tractor count so that way, because if we could do that, then hopefully maybe we can add something for next year. But everything's going to stay the way it is right now with these 6 pulls and that weight class for this year. But if it turns out like we hope it does, hopefully we can add a lighter class next year.
Okay, was that answering Carl Davis's question then?
He must be added to the list.
Can't do it at this point. We've kind of got our 6 figured out, and not saying that we wouldn't do that later, but on another year. But we got to let this play out and see how this is going to turn out with what we've already got.
Even if it was raced first?
I'm saying it one more time, JR.
Even if it was a raised first event? We didn't
Even if
consider that. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
If somebody were to come in and say, hey, I'll pay raised first, to be part of your points series. Just a question, random question.
Hey, let's not mess up what they got going on.
We're going to do it the same way we're doing it.
I'm trying to get you more money. Okay, I'm trying to get you more money here.
Yeah.
But after this year, everything's in negotiation.
Well, then we'll see how this turns out. That's
Right.
we don't know yet how many we're going to have. So, and that's what's going to make the difference of who all wants to do this.
Well, and to follow up Carl's question, if you're not necessarily going to add a venue, would you consider adding weight classes as you go up too? As it gets bigger and as you get the
Yes,
participation?
definitely in the coming year, we'll certainly take a look at that, and I'm sure that's going to be on the table if we had the turnout that we're hoping to have to do this. For this year.
And if there's just figure it out. If there's 30 tractors signed up for it, that's at least $3,000 that's getting paid out to the top 3 places.
So if we had 30 entries in this, first place at the end of the year will get $1,800. Second would be $900, and third will be $300.
And then there is also, I got some sponsorship that's going to go in there too. And then, Mike, like we had talked about before, there's going to be you want to explain that contingency stuff?
Yeah, the plan is to not spread a little bit through the field. We'll have some contingency awards. Right now we're possibly 3, depending on how many tractors sign up. The more signs up, the more we'll have, and it'll be on back through the field and at the points, and it may, I really don't. We haven't decided exactly what we're going to do. It could be.
If you up to now in April.
Yeah, but by April, we'll know once everybody's April 1st, the deadline is signing up. Then we'll know what we've got, and we may give away. We'll say like a hard luck award type thing, and that person will win the
just hush.
The next year's sign up money that he would automatically get a either free in for next year, or whatever kind of items we come up with to give away. That's
and which we have some
come
idea.
back in the field.
Well, I think it's a great thing just from the standpoint of you're also not just adding to a jackpot for a point series, but you're also helping the clubs that are in this circuit get, they're all going to pick up participation because of what you guys have planned out here.
And recognition.
Right. Well, that's just the way that's going to happen. If you wouldn't have normally went to Center Hall, but you finished well in the first 2 hooks you went in the points, or if you're in the points, you're going to try harder to make one of those 7 hooks than you might have otherwise.
Right.
Especially if, like Greg said, you got $3,000 to the winner at the other end of the gauntlet.
Yeah. And like I said, with the contingency awards, we want to, hey, we're all not going to win this, and this is, if you finish 10th or 15th or 20th, whatever, how many tractors come, there'll be a little. We'd like to give something out of all this, and contingency awards of some sort, you know.
So you,
It's something we've got to work out as far as once we know how many tractors we have signed up.
it's a great concept.
I like the cooperation amongst 6 locations to get together and say, hey, we can share these dates, and we won't put a poll on this date, but you can have that date, and we're all working. And the roles have been blended. It's wonderful to see that happen in Poland.
That don't normally work so well in Maryland. You can have 3 hooks in the same, 3 different hooks, 3 different events in the same day. They're all apart.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good thing there. And it also having it out early allows others not to end up planning to be on the same date. And you have your schedule set to go on them polls to them dates.
I think it was
Yeah, and
also
that's-
very strategic to skip July, which is most of the local fairs pretty much everywhere, so you're not messing with them either.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I know we talked Olan the other day a little bit. If anybody wants to know what polls is
Oh, yeah, go
going
with
on in
Oh,
PA, find Cliff Stugart's Facebook
Yes.
page.
Yes.
That man does a great thing of keeping up with that and grabbing dates.
I think he actually has a page identified and such. And if Cliff is watching, I'm sure he'll comment, hopefully, and at the bottom. But yeah, Cliff Stigert does a very good job of social media discussions on polls.
So if anybody's interested in, well, pretty much any poll, anywhere, just about. Look at those polls too. The busier we can keep Pennsylvania, the better off we're going to be up here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all other areas can learn from what you're doing. But you guys started doing this a long, long time ago too.
We started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg. You know when that's the small talk. There you go. Pennsylvania Antique Tractor Polling Calendar.
There you go.
So,
Thank you, Cliff.
Yep.
I'm sure Cliff will keep you up informed on where the group is heading, or where everybody else is heading to as well. But yeah, give us a long-term history on how small tire come about, the best of your knowledge.
How are we supposed to read that?
You're too fast on me, Alex.
Yeah, we'll all of us will be in Chatham. So if there's any questions, catch up with us down there, and we'll try to answer any question you have.
and I don't know when small tire started up here. That was way before me, bud. So I know Don started pulling what, and he built the on style G, I think in '86, and he had the styled one on small tires before that, NNA. So it's been a long time.
That's a lot of years. That would make that like getting around 40.
Yeah.
So it was well before that, because then you go back to the one in Gene Sellers. Man, that's who Don learned from. Got a lot of information from, so that man's, I forget how old he is.
Mm-hmm.
So it was well in the 70s, late 60s, I'm sure of it.
Safety rules.
That will be the club's rules. Whatever they have in place is what we will have to run on that, on safety rules.
Yeah, you definitely got to have, at these pools, you got to have wheelie bars. We know that. A lot of these hitches, hooks for the things, I think they're 3.5 inch now. If I'm correct, round, Mike, does that sound right?
Yes.
It's 3 3/4.
3 3/4.
Yeah, oval like a pear shaped like.
Yeah. So 3 3/4.
Yeah.
I know a lot of these clubs don't like the front ends getting high, so just make sure you got your wheelie bars on.
Yeah, take them out of transport, position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does make a difference.
1973 is when Don started pulling.
That's impressive. That's 4 years before I was born.
And Gene Sellers is 94 years old. So, and like I said, Don learned from a lot from Gene Sellers. So, and he's the granddaddy of tractor pulling in our area for sure.
Yeah.
3 3/4.
3 3/4 on the hook hole. Thank you, Jason. Verification there come in.
Yeah.
That's everywhere, even in
Yeah, it's right everywhere.
EPL.
And aluminum and motor stuff is not part of the discussion. It's speed, weight, and drawbar and wheelie bars. That's it for the most part. And tire size.
You know, we still have to go by whatever rule of the club is, you know, what they have there themselves. Which is all pretty, as far as I know, they're all pretty much the same that where
Yep.
we're going at. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe all of them are 20-inch high for drawbars and 18-inch long. Every one that we're going to is like that this year, so
Yeah.
everyone's pretty uniform.
You know,
In the past years, that's been different, but now it's standardized, right?
We we kind of got everybody on the same page. Well, we didn't get everybody on. Everybody came to getting on the same page for that. You know, for cut tire, small cut tire classes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is there any other? You think I might have missed something?
Okay.
I think we covered.
So one thing we didn't say yet is the winner of the class for the day, wherever we're at, the winner is going to get 1 extra point.
Of the
But
class.
they got
Yeah.
to win the entire class, not just the points. So they got to win the entire class, though.
Yeah. They get an extra point on top of what they already get for the points. The, you know, normal, payback on points. So they'll get 1 extra. Little help for winning, you know.
You gonna get that point, Richard?
I'm damn sure gonna try.
There you go. You heard it right there. Richard's going. He's
so we
in.
can put him on the list then.
Yeah, we'll put your name down.
I've been telling him, you had that picture of them John Deeres at Forksville. I said, come on, Richard. They just look a bunch of baby deer there. Let's go pull it.
He'll be somewhere out.
He didn't quite believe me. He didn't believe me.
And everybody's got a stock farm tractor. But anyway,
He'll
But
be
like I
easy to
said,
beat.
if you have any questions, you can get a hold of Mike Hitchens, Jordan Ferris, Alex Butcher, me, and who'd I miss?
Blake
Colton. If you
Yep.
need any of their numbers, just text me. I got them all.
We'll answer whatever you got. But sign up when we get this ready. Everybody sign up. Let's get all we can get in this.
Yeah. So 40 tractors, not too many. 50, not too many.
No.
Sign up.
I already asked the page. I'm just waiting on one of y'all to say yes.
I tell you what, if there's 4,
Jordan.
I'm not even going to worry about the money. But if I can win that points thing,
Wow. Yeah. They're bragging right there.
Oh, we'll have to put a ratchet strap on his head.
No, you guys are, yeah.
Like air cleaners on. You might have a little thing.
It's about air cleaner falling off.
Stop it.
That'd be
Oh no! If I got to hear about weights, you got to hear about air cleaners.
Thoughtful bunch, aren't they? Yeah.
But
So-
that would be something to really be proud of to win that.
yeah.
Sometimes the bragging race means more than the payout.
I
Mhm.
think that would be it.
Yeah, that'd be some stiff competition to.
I had a
That'd
trivia
be-
question for you.
Oh boy.
The very first bracket pool I ever filmed, who was the champion? Very first bracket pool I ever filmed, who was the champion?
That heat film.
Like we're supposed to know the first one he filmed.
That I don't know. I know.
Was it one you
I'll give you a clue. He's
Oh, no,
looking at
don't
something
you
right
sound?
now.
No, Beaver Frank.
No, you wanted to chat him, didn't you?
Oh, the Heat film.
This guy.
Okay, but
This guy.
I guess we'll
That's
go with
right.
that.
You got the right person. Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
There you go. See, he was testing you, Mike.
Yeah.
Testy.
JoJo knew.
He's half asleep himself. He better go back to bed.
Look at that. See?
See? Brian knew.
Rachel.
I think we're
Jason
covered then. On everything, right? Yeah.
I
See?
think he adjusted my carburetor right before that pull too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was game plan, Greg. I'll tell it now.
He would have to watch that carburetor.
Yeah.
Horsepower close to me.
Yeah, so everybody that's watching us tonight, thank you for watching. I hope you can take the information and utilize it in some way, shape, or form. Be a part of the event if you can. Be a part or take it back to your local organizations and see what you can utilize from it or talk about. I do know a lot of areas run 16.938s instead of the small 16.934s and the other sets. They might have a 38 division coming up somewhere else. It's all good. Just have fun. Have fun pulling. 2024 should be a very exciting pulling year.
I think so.
Carburetors have.
Oh yeah, and I want to thank our guests one more time for coming on. You guys doing the with the podcast series. Most likely you'll be seeing one of these representatives. Yeah, thank you, Richard. How about you? Of the series and the points, and then we got the other big pulls to talk about. We'll probably have Paul come talk about some other aspect of pulling and lineup performance. Hope Chatham. No, we got Oak Grove. We got all sorts of stuff coming up. We got Chatham, yeah, Chatham,
Oak Grove and then Chatham.
and then Harrisburg, right? And then White Pond. So there's a lot of good polling coming up. A lot of things to talk about. There you go. JR, you gonna be there this year?
It's on the list to go, yes.
It's on the list.
We've been on the list and got canceled before.
But we was on the list. Hey, you never know. JR might show up at one of these big pools. You never know. He hadn't said one way or the other yet.
Be glad to have it.
That's a long drive for JR to go up there for that points pool.
No, it's
Center
not.
Hall's
You'll
close to
few
one.
times and you'll do it in sleep.
I know a convoy you could
Yeah,
probably
I've been up
travel with.
around here.
Where Richard, you'd ride to trap to the trailer deck, won't you?
Said I know a convoy you could probably travel with.
I'm sure of that.
You
Yeah, Chatham is on my go-to list.
done right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Great.
All right, JR. It's that time of the evening again. Thank everyone for the good information, and that sounds like a
That's Nicole said.
he said no.
Okay.
Sorry, should be going again. Should be going again in 30 seconds. But
Not that we can speak of online right now. So
oh dear Jesus.
we're going to discuss
Thank
that.
everybody. Sounds like a great idea. Go on the Facebook page, sign up, back these guys up on this ideal.
Keep track of the calendar.
Get into some good polling. You know we're all coming to Chatham.
By the way, Tommy, get ready. You're going to be doing a show very soon.
Yep. Tommy's not. He can't hide from us.
No, I can't wait for that.
If
Paul,
he
that's
if
for
he,
sure.
if he can't make it, send that Rutroff guy. We haven't questioned him enough lately. But
We'll have him. We'll have him.
oh yeah, all the above. We'll take any of them. They're all good. We've had several different ones from down there.
Brian, Tommy, you want to bring them all?
But he hasn't been the
Brian
same
Tommy
since he
Rowan.
bought that red tractor, though. You know that.
Well, I mean, what do you want us to say?
That's all I'm saying.
There's good decisions made every day. Is all I know. Anyway,
Any rebuttals to that one?
It's getting deep. That's all I'm saying.
it's time to cut her down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Good
We'll
night.
definitely let you know.
JR, do your thing.
Okay. Hey, like, subscribe, share, give these guys some love. You see, there's a new name up in the upper right hand corner. We didn't touch on that just yet. So, but
And we won't, but we will.
we won't, but we will. More to come soon. So, thanks. I don't know. We'll schedule a show here within a month, I guess. We'll probably should start looking towards Chatham, I guess, or whatever you come up with, Owen. So,
Yep. We'll always have stuff on the list to talk about, and we'll be back with more.
okay, there you go. You have it. So just keep an eye on social media. We'll let you know. And until then, appreciate everybody coming on here.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.